Hello, Billy Dees right here. What we're going to talk about today is life. And I don't mean philosophy, but I mean life from another place. There's a lot of talk these days about aliens. And I'm to the point where if you're going to convince me of that, I need to talk to an alien on my podcast. Now, that comment isn't as sarcastic as it sounds. It's been said that extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. And right now, there's a lot of evidence that may lead to this or that or the other thing, but there's nothing convincing. And with all of our instruments and all the ways that we can look into the universe at this time, there's simply no evidence for intelligent life out there. Now, that doesn't mean that there isn't. There could be. Anything is possible, which is true. The only thing is when I hear anything is possible, you have to be very cautious because it's very easy to be only limited by what your imagination can conjure up. What I am saying is that if you're really going to consider the possibility that we could be visited by life from another world, before we get into diving through wormholes or skipping across parallel universes or anything like that, we have to take a step back and be practical about examining what we do know. When people talk about finding another Earth, that really encapsulates a lot. Let me go through some of the big things without making this video an hour long. First of all, let's start with the sun. The sun is very unique in that it's really not that big by what's out there, but it burns very consistently. It's about 4.5 billion years old. And not too many hot spots, not too many low spots. It burns like a real nice bulb. That's unusual. We're in what we call the Goldilocks zone, meaning our planet is the right distance from the sun for life as we know it, and that's a big phrase, for life as we know it to exist, meaning it's not too close, it's not too far away. Any big percentage points one way or the other in terms of how far the Earth is from the sun, we're not here. I don't have a good shot of it today, but the moon is actually very important as well. We have a very unique moon in that the mass of our moon is a considerable percentage of the mass of the Earth. It's about a quarter of the size. And this is significant because the pull between the moon and the Earth do some really cool things. And it's not just the tides, which may very well have played a big part in evolution, but more importantly, the moon keeps the Earth spinning steady, okay? It's at an angle, it doesn't wobble too much, and it doesn't change its variation in terms of how it rotates. If a big asteroid would hit the moon, you talk about climate change, would have it changing like by the hour. The Earth also has a magnetic field that shields the Earth from the radiation of space. This isn't true on the moon, and it's not true on Mars. So again, kind of unique. The Earth very likely has a very unique history unto itself, meaning it's not just where it's located in a given solar system, but it's about 4.5 billion years old. During that time, it's been as cold as a ball of ice. It's been as hot as a cinder. And there's been any number of extinction-level events that have impacted life as we know it. You could make the argument that there could be creatures of goodness knows what behind me, and not squirrels, had any of those events not happened. And here again, when we talk about life on other worlds, we have a tendency to consider the most obvious things, like, is there water there? Yeah, pretty important. Is there oxygen there? Yeah, pretty important, right? But there's more to this atmosphere than oxygen. And the air pressure itself is very important to life as we know it. On this other world, is there sodium chloride there? I'm told I put too much of it on my fries, but without it, there's no us. Here again, it's the little details of things that really throw a wrench into the works. Now let's consider Earth again, about 4.5, 4.6 billion years old. Life has existed for most of that time, oddly enough. About 1 billion years in, life started. Now we could get into a big discussion about how, but It started almost within the first billion years. So that means it took 3.5 billion years for life to go from single, one-celled creatures to us today. 3.5 billion years. That means a planet where the conditions are perfect for life as we know it. It still took 3.5 billion years to develop. Here again, it's those pesky little details that get you. We generally consider Earth as very friendly toward human life. I mean, it's nice and sunny, it's a cool day, beautiful, right? Most of Earth is not like this. As a matter of fact, if you took a person in their birthday suit, meaning naked, and dropped them just about anywhere on Earth, they would probably be dead in very little time, like minutes. They would either be in very deep, violent water, or they would be in ice-cold conditions, sub-zero situations, or they would be at an altitude where there's not enough air to breathe, or a combination thereof. There's only so many places like Daytona Beach on Earth. Now, just consider for a moment what that means. That means we're on Earth, which is the right size for us to weigh as much as we do. It has the right composition of minerals that we need. It has the right mix in the atmosphere of what we need. And we're at the right distance from our host star. Our star burns very consistently. We have a moon that stabilizes our situation here. I could go on and on and on. And even with that, with the perfect conditions, it still took 3.5 billion years for us to be walking around here and talking. And you got to keep in mind, civilization is roughly 10,000 years old. We're just a little blip on the radar screen in terms of the amount of time it took for us to get here. And even with that, not all of Earth is perfect for human existence. So what does that mean? Don't get me wrong. I am not saying that alien life does not exist, that it's impossible. I'm not saying that at all. It could. It absolutely could. And finding it would probably be among the most exciting things in our human history. But when you really start to break down what's practical, before you get to life jumping through parallel universes or diving through wormholes, before you get to that part, you have to consider, how does life start? How does it develop? And when you start breaking down those mechanisms, it's quite possible you have to consider the fact that we're it. This is it. We're all alone here. Like Carl Sagan famously said, there is no evidence that life will come from elsewhere to save us from ourselves. I'm Billy Dees. Have a great day.